Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm introducing a new build. I say build, it's more of a flip car. Typical to what we normally do, flip cars around here. I have high hopes that I'll be able to get this one done in about one video. Next couple of days. I got like 2-3 days to do it. I think I'm going to be able to do everything I need to do to put it back together, get it ready to go on the road, get it inspected. Well, I'm not going to get it inspected this video, but when I get back here after Christmas, I'll be able to get it inspected. We have all the parts that we're going to need for it right here, minus the NOCO boost pack. That's just separate. Something I need to open, actually. Yeah, we got it. In case you haven't realized yet, it's a Corolla. If you were able to pick that out by this reverse light, good job. I bought it for 800 bucks. You'll see it in a bit. We're about to go out to the garage now. I got it for 800 bucks because it needs exhaust work. The two things, the muffler fell off, it rotted off, and the exhaust donut, this right here, that also went bad, it rotted out. They're just lead, so they don't rot, they kind of just disintegrate through the heat over all the years. And I also needed some bolts for this, and then these are bolts for the muffler side. And then I got a whole new muffler for it at the junkyard. Luckily, I actually found a pretty good looking muffler at the junkyard. It looked like it had just been replaced before the car got scrapped. So it's like a new muffler. We got both the gaskets that I needed, the muffler side, the manifold side. We got both the bolts that we need. And then I also got some other things like fog light inserts. Both of those were missing. You'll see the car, it got hit by a deer at one point, so the front end like is all brand new parts and new paint, but like they didn't put in new fog light inserts on the bumper, and the paint's a little weird. You'll see that in a bit. Got some new hubcaps for it, steering wheel cover, reverse light, and then struts, because that's the other big thing. The two front struts are garbage. So I went with some KYBs. If you haven't realized yet, I'm doing this car like not cheap. I'm actually putting some money into it. That's because it's probably going to my sister, and I'm gonna drive it for a while, like use it as a winter beater before then, because up here they don't mess around with the salt. They put so much salt down on the roads, and I'd rather just keep the Trailblazer off the road, put this Corolla on the road. It's already a little rusty. It came from Jersey, so it's not like rot, but it's got some rust bubbles on the rocker panels. So if I can daily this for a while, like during the winter time, save the Trailblazer, I'd be really happy, and then it can go to my sister afterwards. But anyway, let's stop talking about it. Let's go see it. All right, quickly before we go outside, I just opened up the NOCO boost now. I'm not sponsored or anything by them, but wow, this is big. That is a lot bigger than I expected it to be. Oh man, you got a flashlight on the front. Genius. I mean, I knew it was going to be somewhat big, but I didn't think it was going to be that big. This packaging is really nice that it comes in. This is like some really premium quality packaging there. Alright, so here she is over here. I just slapped a temporary plate on it for now. That squealy in the background is the white Trailblazer. If you had watched the video on that, you would know I put a throttle body in it. It's still stuck in the relearn procedure. It's been giving me shit, so I'm just running it now for probably half an hour just to see if I can get it to stay running good. Here's the paint problems I was talking about. Yeah, so someone put a new hood, front bumper, headlights, grille on this when it got into the accident. I don't know what they used for hardener, but it's like non-existent because the paint literally just ran off, or they left it out in the rain after painting it. And you can see they did the tops of the fenders too. The tops of the fenders I can save. I'll be able to wet sand that and get that looking better. The hood, I can wet sand some areas like this and try to smooth it out, but here we're flat out missing paint. So honestly, that's fine though. Most of these cars don't have good paint. I don't think I've seen many Corollas with good paint unless it's like for a major dealership or something. Like we got a little bit of clear coat peel back here too. A little like orange iron deposit on there. I don't know if you can see that. That should be able to buff off or wet sand off. I'm not worried about that. You can see we're missing hubcaps over here. That's what I got the hubcaps for. I got that reverse light because this reverse light let in water and is now all dull. Looks bad. And then I got those front inserts. Here's the rust. Only bit of rust on it's right there. Maybe one day I'll get that fixed if it's going to my sister. I'm gonna list this when I'm done with it for like a crazy crackhead amount. If I can get that price, I'll take it and just sell it as is. For some reason it locked itself. It's got a clicker that works. And then inside you can see it's actually really clean on the inside. Like, the seats will need to be extracted and stuff. The steering wheel's beat up, but that's typical. Missing the little door over there, which is also typical. But to be honest, this car is going to be pretty close to 100% when I'm done. I'm trying to replace like everything on it. You can see. But yeah, apart from like that center console door, because a new door is like 60 bucks online. I'm not paying that for a door. It can just be an open compartment. And the steering wheel, I mean, I could have pulled one from a junkyard. It's not in terrible shape, just a little chewed up there and down there. Normally they're worse. But I got that cover for it. And I honestly don't know how much that cover is going to match this interior, with the interior being gray and the cover being tan, but whatever. We'll see how it looks. If it looks dumb, I'll take it back. Maybe try to get a different one. But yeah, that's the car. Pop the trunk and the hood here for you guys to see. Then we'll move it out front so I can put in the daylight for you guys and you can hear the exhaust. There's the muffler I picked up from the junkyard. You can see it in really good shape. Mine rusted off. Actually, right down there is where mine rusted off. You can see just flailing around in there. And I got a fender liner because for some reason my passenger side doesn't have a fender liner. I don't know. Something cool came with the original ATF fluid that you could get if you like paid for maintenance, the maintenance package from a dealership. That was a thing back in 03. Oh, yeah, this is an 03, same year as that white Trailblazer over there. But yeah, if you paid like a maintenance package option when you bought the car new, you got like a bunch of fluids from the factory. Came with jumper cables too, which is nice. But yeah, so that's that. Let's quit talking and get to work here, getting her put back together. Alright, fire up here for you guys for the first time. You absolutely need to run it with the windows down. They don't want to move today, but yeah, you gotta run it with the windows down or else you're gonna get carbon monoxide poisoning. Alright, here goes nothing. Oh yeah. Listen to that roar. Obviously check engine light because of the exhaust and because it cuts out right before the cat. So there is no catalytic converter essentially. Even though there is one, it just doesn't work. Yeah, I'm not going to leave it running for too long, but here she is. Pop the hood for you quickly. See, still a little bit of damage to the crash support from that deer, but it is what it is. It's not bad. It's not out. Brand new radiator because of that accident, which is nice. And you can see down there is where it's leaking. So yeah, we're gonna do the couple of things to make this thing perfect, and yeah, either send it on its way, give it to my sister, and I will be using it to probably DoorDash and do some things like that beforehand. Alright, so while I've got it out front here, I'm going to do some more of the easy things to it, like get these hubcaps on this side, put that rear tail light thing in, put the inserts in, and yeah, just get it looking cosmetically good. And then we'll pull it in, put it up on ramps, do this exhaust, and then probably tomorrow I'll end up doing the suspension on it. I don't think I'm going to get to that today at all. And yeah, just keep moving along here. Alright, so first up are these little inserts, and I believe they just pop right in. So we're going to see here, all those tabs are intact. Yeah, let's just go and pop her in. Dang. Nice and easy. Yeah, and it looks better than just a gaping hole. Do that to the other side and see how she looks. Man, look at that. Ties the front end together pretty nicely. Oh, another thing I'll probably end up doing today is jacking up this side and getting that fender liner on. But for now, let's get to other stick-on things to do. Next up being these wheels, which I'll show you. These were not cheap to get, like factory. And I went to the junkyard first before I got any of these parts because I did want to see if I could find a Corolla. The thing is, there's like none of these Corollas because they're so damn reliable. They never end up in the junkyard. So I bought a lot of the parts for it, like wheels, those little fog light inserts. This I found at the junkyard, and luckily I found that muffler at the junkyard. But it is what it is. That's what you get when you're driving a nicer, more reliable car. Alright, she's got a full set of hubcaps on her. I staggered them, so I swapped. I put one new one on this side, one new one on the other side. Try to make it look like we didn't just replace one side at once. One thing I should mention, these tires are like brand new. So, like, that was a score, getting a car so cheap with brand new tires. Because I'll tell you what, the white Trailblazer, absolutely garbage tires. Another cheap car I got. That's the only hubcap that's got a flaw, a little chip out of it, unfortunately. Doesn't really matter though. Yeah, she's looking good. Get this rear taillight on, clean that steering wheel off, put the steering wheel cover on, and then we'll see what kind of time it is, how the daylight's like. I might honestly today just do the suspension and the fender well liner, because the exhaust I kind of need like daylight for, daylight shining into the garage. Those I can do at nighttime with the lights in the garage. Alright, so with the trunk popped, we're going to pop off this little cover over here. Yeah, it just comes off with your hands. Set that on top of the muffler. And then we're greeted by like 3 10mm bolts and that plug for the light itself. Pop the little plug out now. And come back for all those 10mm, and then that one just pops out. There are clips too, but it just pops out with the clips, and we can throw the new one in. So now those two clips I was talking about, they're like here and here. I find it helpful to pop one of these bad boys under there, and yeah, they'll just pop right out. And then the light pops out like that. You can slap your new one in. Well, there she is. I have no idea if it works or not in reverse, and since it's just me here right now, I'm not going to test the efficiency of my e-brake by coming out to check, but it looks good. I did keep the old bulb just in case. This bulb's blown out, but looking good. On to the next thing. Alright, so before we put the steering wheel cover on, we're obviously going to clean this wheel first, because what's the point in putting a nice clean cover on if the steering wheel underneath is all dirty? Alright, so definitely clean now, but still worn out in some areas, like right there, down here. So, we'll slap the steering wheel cover on once again. I didn't really realize this is all gray, this interior. Don't know how good that's gonna look, but we'll see. Well, there we go. This one looks much better than that tan one. I wound up running to AutoZone and getting that. Also, the tan one barely fit, but this matches like the black over there. Gray and black is just much cleaner. And then the wood grain, which is weird. I also threw in my spare Bluetooth receiver since I'm keeping the stock radio in this. Which only has CD, it doesn't even have cassette, so I couldn't even connect it through cassette, but it's fine. The Bluetooth receiver works. Yeah, interior's pretty much done now. Let's get that side jacked up first, get that fender liner in, and then do the strut. Okay, this is my first time with the wheel off of this car, and first thing to note, obviously pretty crusty and rusty. It was in New Jersey, so it's not as bad as some of the cars get up here, but it's still pretty bad. Obviously the struts are going to get replaced, so they'll look new and better. Get a little bit under the car there too. Honestly, I was going to use ramps to do the exhaust. I think I'm just going to jack it up. That jack works great. I gotta get a jack stand under it now, but it does work great. Alright, well here's our whole setup. It got really cold. I had to turn on the heater. We're going to do the strut first, then we'll throw in this fender liner. I just got underneath and pulled a little rusted bracket off under there. That's why there was some stuff there. It's PB Blaster. These are 12mm nuts. holding the top of the strut on, so we're going to tackle those first with an extension on the impact. They look rusty, but not too bad. This car is pretty much rust-free, apart from some surface rust. These, I believe, are 17s. We have a 14. We got to also disconnect that first before we do anything, the ABS line. That, I believe, is a 15. But anyway, you see it, 2 bolts here, or nuts and bolts there. Bolt holding on the ABS line, or no, that's a brake line. And then the bolt holding on the tie rod, and these 3 up here. Alright, we got those bigger nuts soaking in some PB Blaster right now while I go find the wrench for those 2. Because you gotta hold it from one side, unbolt from the other side. If you've never done struts before, that's typically how they're worked on. Yeah, this car is pretty much rust-free. Just some surface corrosion and rust that, like, you'll see on bolts like this here. It's just all surface corrosion, because Jersey cars typically, I know for a fact this one was near the shore because it was Griffin's buddy and they both live near LBI. Most cars in Jersey get a lot of surface corrosion, unless they're like northern Jersey, then you'll get like salt corrosion from snow. But yeah, this is probably more just corrosion from being around the sea. Well, as you can see, I've gotten some more parts. Yeah, I popped off that sway bar end link and realized that A, it was stuck to the strut, and B, it's just completely gone. So we'll do both side sway bar end links as well. Well, there you have it, folks. If I can get my shadow out of the way. She's completely free from the strut. There's a strut. Let's see what these new components look like compared to these old ones. Pretty good difference here between the old and the new parts, which is what you'd expect. Crusty and rusty on those old ones, and that strut is all the way expanded and just does not want to collapse. So yeah, it's not good. Alright, there she is, all buttoned up back together, torqued everything down to spec. Looks like a nice new strut right there. Strut and sway bar end link. It's a good thing to replace as a pair. Not sure if it's going to need alignment now. It might. I don't know. The steering wheel was locked in the dead center position, so I can hope that it won't, but we're going to see when we start driving it. Well, you can somewhat see what the fender liner is going to look like. I've got a couple of the clips in that were already there. I still need to go. I'm going to have to go out for a 3rd time tonight and go get more clips for the few that are not there, up there and down here. I guess they got lost. I don't know. Or got torn out when the other fender liner got lost. But we're almost one side complete, then we just got the other side. I'm happy to be living closer to things now that I'm here in Williamsport. It's easier to run out and just go get stuff from AutoZone because it's right down the street. Alright, side number 2 now, which is good because my heater just ran out of fuel and I don't feel like freezing out here. Same situation with the rust as the other side. Going to do both strut and sway bar end link. I'll tell you what, my brakes are in good shape. They look like they were done not too long ago, which is nice. One less thing I gotta do. Alright, got her all buttoned up on this side, got her dropped down again. She looks to be sitting even. Yeah, that's a job well done. So now tomorrow I'll come back out here when it's light out. We'll put her up on ramps or jack her up. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. Get underneath, get that muffler put on, and then put the exhaust donut on the front, and she should be quiet. Fingers crossed. If she is quiet, this is a good new daily right here. I mean, it's pretty clean for the year. It's got a good interior. This is going to be a nice little DoorDash vehicle. Then maybe first car for my sister, or I might even sell it for a heck of a profit. No matter what, it's a winning car right here, and I like that. Well, after successfully taking it for a test drive, I can attest that it drives like a new freaking car after that. Literally, that and minus the exhaust issues, the only issues with this car was the strut. So once I get this exhaust patch tomorrow, geez, almost had a stroke, it's going to be perfect. It's going to feel so good to drive. But anyway, that's all for tonight. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning. Well, pretty obvious conditions are not ideal today. More snow. Feels like we just got the last snowstorm. There's about an inch of ice on most paved surfaces right now, or cars. Some on the roofs too, and it just turned from ice to snow. And I have to go get red RTV sealant. So, perfect time for that. I don't know. I need that to get this exhaust job done. I just realized I didn't have it. And I gotta get this exhaust job done today. So, I'm gonna take a ride now while the roads are somewhat okay. Go get some of that. Yeah, this is not ideal. But we have brakes, we have good tires. We're on the move to go get red RTV. Well, here we are at Surplus City. Definitely a risky ride over here, but you know, we're here now, so let's go get our stuff, get back on the road and get home as soon as possible, because the storm isn't any joke. Well, we got back. This thing is a champ in the snow with these new wheels and tires. I'm loving it. It's got traction for days. Still snowing out here. It's a lot of ice. It's not, there's some big heavy flakes right now, but it's a lot of ice. It's pretty warm today for snow, but honestly, ice is worse. I'm just hoping tomorrow it clears up. I'm supposed to drive back to my parents' house tomorrow, and we'll see. That all depends on how the roads are, but for now, it's bad. The roads are not good. So now I'm gonna freeze my ass off and get this Corolla done because I want to. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. I honestly think I'm just going to jack it up. The ramps are too troublesome to deal with right now. Man, it is coming down out there. Alright, I'm going to make this quick. There's that new muffler I was talking about. Like I said, it is pretty much new. Really good shape. Not much rust on there. I got those exhaust hangers soaking in PB Blaster right now so I can get them off. I then have to do the same thing to the muffler under here. I also got to get the bolts out. Two 14 millimeters, one on each side. And we'll get those two out. I got new replacement ones. I got a new gasket for it. We'll put all that in, put the muffler on, and we're good to go. And then, of course, we have what's up front here too, which is going to be a whole nother task. Alright, just like that, we got that out. One thing that worries me here is this new exhaust. I'm just realizing now there are no threads on this side, on the receiving side. However, my bolt kit comes with nuts, which makes me think that's how it's going to be fastened down. So I think I'll probably just grind off the remainder of all this, leave a nice clean mating surface for the nut. Just go that way. Now, I'm working on getting these exhaust hangers off. You can see I got one off there. Now, my method I use, I'll take a flathead screwdriver, try to see if I can do it on camera here. I try to wedge it up underneath. Once I get it in, I try to go all the way through. Which is sometimes easier said than done. Especially one-handed. But once you get it all the way through, there we go, you just pry. So, for the I didn't have the camera too situated there, but I just go on, once I come through here, I'll just pry down on that, and it just pops right off. You can see it went over there. Well, here's that inch an hour snow that they were talking about. Saying between 5 and 10 inches, or 6 and 10 inches, something like that. And they were saying we're supposed to see an inch to an inch and a half an hour for like the rest of the day. Great. In other news, old muffler's out. New muffler's ready to go in. Let's get her done. Well, there we have it. She is on. She's pretty sturdy. Wobbles around as much as you'd expect a muffler to wobble. We'll see how patched up it is when I fire the car up. Hopefully there's no exhaust leak. It's my first time messing with these like exhaust donuts like you saw. But she's pretty well sealed up if I can get in there. Yeah. You can see those new bolts on there, the new seals in there. Once again, sturdy, and they're pretty tight. And we'll see how it works. So, alright, I don't know what happened there. The camera did not want to focus. But anyway, now all we gotta do is the front donut, and then we're good to go.
so you can see the extension I needed to get to the bolts up in there. Basically, they're like a foot up in, it's right where the exhaust manifold attaches to the outlet pipe towards the cat. It's those bolts. However, I unbolted it. It's stuck on. Like, that exhaust gasket is beyond stuck and has a lot of life left to it. So I'm wondering if the noise was really just from the muffler. And if I just fix that, we might be good to go. So I buzzed up some new bolts because I don't want to reuse those old ones. I think they're under here still or somewhere. I don't know. The old ones were pretty bad. I don't want to reuse those. So I put new ones in. It could have been those bolts were just starting to get loose, and that's why. I don't know. We're about to fire it up now. So it's definitely still leaking somewhere. It's not as bad. It is not from back here. It definitely is something up there. Alright, well, I gotta do some more diagnosing and figure out what it is then. Well, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be that front cat. Actually, it's not going to be the exhaust donut. As you heard, still runs really loud. We do have exhaust coming out of the muffler now, which is good, so we fixed that. But most of it's coming out at that frontal cat, so the first cat, not the second one. It would be like right, the O2 sensor's right in between, so I don't even know if it's a cat, it's just whatever is the first canister on the outlet pipe. So worst case scenario, I'm going to need a new outlet pipe, which is about 150 bucks. Alright, so as I said, after Christmas I'd be getting back out here doing some more with this car. Here we are. Today we're going to be doing the rear struts, which is why I'm starting to pull that carpet liner out. Basically how we're going to do them, I'm going to jack up each side with the two jack stands, or jacks I have, and then jack stands as well. Jack them up on both sides, and then behind this, you know, carpet material in the trunk, there are bolts back there. I'll show you once I have it out, but I just got to pop these little like Christmas tree fasteners out. And then those bolts are exposed. It really should just be like a 15-minute job once those bolts are exposed to actually pull the old struts out, put the new ones in. It's 3 bolts up here, and then one beneath here, and you can see the old one there. So, should be easy. So after an excruciating battle against those fasteners, here we go. You can see right there, we have a bolt and then a nut that's underneath, and then another bolt over there that's going to be a tight squeeze. It'll be doable. I'll probably have to, actually we'll open up the seats right now so I can just come in through that angle. And same on this side. If you're doing this, do not touch the top bolt. They're coil-over springs. The springs will just pop right out if you touch those bolts. So, yeah, 3 bolts on the top, the one on the bottom. We're going to get her jacked up and we'll get to doing this. Alright, you can see we got original Toyota struts under here, so they're ready to go. These bolts, like I said, this car is really not too rusty from before. Like, look at those brake lines and everything. They're all in great shape, which is why I'm happy about this car, because it's not crusty like every car in Williamsport. But we got one bolt here, looks like a 15, 16 maybe, and then there's, I believe, it's a 12 millimeter bolt up there, and then the ones in the car are 12 millimeters as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna start taking these apart. We got jack stands set up, and should be a good time. Alright, you can see the struts are out. You can see the difference here between the old one and the new one. This, honestly, these struts could have kept going, but since I replaced the front ones, I want to put some good new ones on the rear. This car is probably going to my sister now. It's probably going to be her first car, so I want to do all the jobs right, make sure this thing really checks out and is ready for her, and won't leave her on the side of the road. You can see it's all empty under here now, so same procedure as before. We're just going to throw it back in, put the big nuts and bolts and washer on the underside, and then on the inside, we got the one there, and then I'll show you how I ended up getting these corner ones because those are the tricky ones. You gotta squeeze. I have 14 millimeter on an extension on a swivel socket on the impact driver, and it works if you squeeze it through there to that little hole, and you got plenty of room for movement then with the swivel. So yeah, this took me about like 15 minutes, but we're gonna throw these new ones in now, and yeah, she'll be good to go then. Alright, you can see we're all buttoned up, torqued down to spec. Spec for these, if you're looking for them, we did some research and we found that the bottom bolt is 59, top bolts are 29. But yeah, they're all put together. Now I just got to throw this carpet liner back in, and she's good to go. We'll take her on a test drive. This is probably going to be the last part of the Corolla video here. Ended up having to go and get a full exhaust. Yeah. So, long story short, checked out this whole exhaust here. It's got multiple pinholes, cracks, rust spots. It's just not worth saving or trying to weld back together. This was $300 about for this whole new exhaust with a catalytic converter. Right there is the cat. And then there's that exhaust donut from earlier, because I am going to replace that up in the front, because now I've got to take the whole exhaust off. Obviously, I'm going to try to replace everything I can. We're going to pull the O2 sensor now. That's what that little tool is down there, although I actually got a tool that I can hook up to the impact to try to get it out, because that was not cutting it. Hopefully I can save this O2 sensor. First, I got to get underneath, and this is going to get pretty dark probably. But try to show you guys the best here of what I'm about to do. So back there, we got those two bolts obviously up on the manifold where that exhaust donut's going to go to. That O2 sensor needs to come off and get put onto the new one. And then this from there is pretty straightforward. We're just unbolting it from the muffler up there, pulling this whole system out, and then putting in the new system. Once again, I am very sorry for how terrible that looked on camera. Lifts are coming eventually. Eventually I'll have a garage with a lift in it. Make it a bit easier to look underneath the car. For now, we do things this way. Alright, so here's what I got for the O2 sensor. An O2 sensor socket, and then because it only came in 3/8 drive, I had to get a 3/8 to 1/2 adapter since my impact is a 1/2. So we're gonna go for it. I'm gonna put it on a low impact setting and hope for the best. Hope we can save the sensor, but that little hand tool is not cutting it. It's on there tight. It's probably the OEM sensor. Alright, so I decided I'm gonna put a new O2 sensor in it just because, you know, this is a car, like I've said before, for my sister. It's gonna be her first car. I'm gonna make sure everything's done right. New catalytic converter, new O2 sensor. If you didn't know, the O2 sensor actually comes up through the floor on these things. There's a little grommet down there underneath that carpet. So I pulled the carpet back. It's just a little clip. And just unplugged it, and now I can pull it through underneath if I pull out the little grommet down there. So I'm going to do that now. Have the O2 sensor completely disconnected. And then I'm going to have to run out, get a new one to go with this new exhaust. But once that's out, I can drop the whole exhaust system and get to work putting this new one in. There's not much I have to do. All I have to do is loosen it from the muffler back there, pop the exhaust hooks, hangers there, and then loosen it from the front up there. Putting the new one on is going to be somewhat of the battle. Alright, here we go. New exhaust is laid out and ready to get fitted. I had to add that clamp there because unlike the OEM ones, these have to come in two separate pieces so they can be shipped. So you put some red thread, or not thread locker, red gasket in there, gasket maker. Has to be red, it has to be the high temp stuff, and then put that little U-bolt on there, and then you're good to go. Put the new O2 sensor in. We're gonna get that in and then wired up into the car once we bolt this up. This kit gives you a lot of stuff. I didn't realize they gave you a new exhaust donut. They give you an exhaust donut, all the bolts, everything you need basically to put this exhaust on. However, we already have a rear exhaust gasket, and all the bolts pretty much are brand new, so I'm just going to use this stuff we got. As you can see, everything lines up All the bends, the resonators are in the right spot. Cat's obviously in the right spot. And let me show you why this old one was leaking. Let's see if I can get you in here. If you look, yeah, I gotta like position the shadow so I'm out of the way. But if you look down in there you go, you can see it now. See that giant crack in there? Yeah, there's a couple of those. Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be hard to see with my shadow there. Here, put you in that way. See that right there? That is obviously a giant crack in the catalytic converter. No bueno, not good. There's also a bunch of little pinhole cracks like around the welds. Right here is a big one. The exhaust hanger came right off. The weld for that came right off. A lot of the hangers rotted off, like the one in the rear rotted off for that muffler. I had to put a new one on there. Anyway, we're remedying all of these rust issues. Also, we have that little ending there is necessary for putting on the rear exhaust donut, and we did not have that before. We now have that. We're going to be able to throw this thing in, which I'm going to do now. Get it all bolted up, get all the gaskets on. I'm going to let it sit overnight, give it some time for all this red sealant to dry, harden, cure, do all that, and then tomorrow I'll fire it up and take it for a spin, and it should be all quiet now. Alright, you can see in there, you can probably see all that nice new exhaust. There she is. Try to give you a good look here. Get light in there for you guys. Once again, I'm sorry. It's dark out. The lights are somewhat good in this garage, not the best. Don't know how much you can see there. So basically, like you saw, it was just the pipe. The muffler was that same muffler that I grabbed from the U-Pullet yard. You can see that right there. But now we got like a solid bolt and exhaust gasket back there. You see where it mates up. So essentially, fingers crossed, knock on everything wood. Tomorrow when I start it up and take it for a spin, when it's not dark and not raining outside, it should be quiet. It should be as silent as it is stock, which also means we're done with this car. So like I said, knock on wood. I'll see you back here in the morning and we'll take her for a spin. Alright, it's the next day here. We're going to fire this thing up and see how quiet it is. Still has that heat shield rattle. It's that main heat shield right on the manifold. It is what it is. Here, I'll pop the hood and show you guys what I'm talking about. I could realistically fix it. However, a little bit of rattle on startup is not that bad. Obviously, you can hear how quiet it is. Yeah, that heat shield right there. Obviously, you hear how quiet it is now compared to before, when it was rattling everything. And now we have a steady stream of exhaust coming out of there. It's going to be white and smoky for a bit just because of all the new oils and stuff on the exhaust. It's brand new metal. My hands were touching like parts on the inside and outside. There's sealant in there. But overall, she purrs. It still smells like exhaust gas on the inside from how long it was broken. But good detail will fix that. And good detail is really all that's left on this car. So next up, I'm going to keep on the same video because it's really not that much left. I'm going to show you how to wet sand, and I don't want to say paint correct because there's no correcting stuff like this, but some of the spots where there's still paint, like the fenders and all that, we can wet sand that, kind of smooth it out, and hopefully make it look somewhat okay compared to how it looks now. But yeah, this thing's pretty much done. I'm going to take it on a drive now and enjoy it for a while. It's my new DoorDash car. Alright, I'll give you guys a little pool here just so you can see. I just gotta watch out. This intersection is terrible. Here we go. Way quieter than before. Doesn't sound all raspy and like a shitbox. It just sounds like a normal car now. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Really like this exhaust, and it really did not take that much time. It was a very easy install and a well-priced exhaust. It was a good price. So yeah, I'm happy. Alright, so it's been a bit since I've done anything with this Corolla. It's actually here at my parents' house, if you recognize where we are right now. But, I mean, it just finished raining, and I think today would be the perfect time to tackle this hood and try to see if I can get it to look a little bit better, if I can try to wet sand it a little bit, smooth it out. Because if you look at it in some spots in the rain, it looks really good. So I think some of the areas like here, probably not there and over there, especially where primer's showing, but here I think I could get it looking much better. So I'm gonna tackle it, see what I can do. I've got some materials in here. I'm just gonna wet sand it and buff it today. That's all I'm doing. So I've got 600 grit, which is really aggressive. Typically, like good paint like this, I would not wet sand with 600 grit. That is some extreme bad paint though, so that we'll give it a try. I don't care if I mess up this hood, because bottom line, I could use a new hood anyway, or a respray. We're probably gonna just repaint it. So if I mess it up, I mess it up. I'm going to follow up with 2500 grit wet sanding, and then I've got my buffing pads. I'm going to buff it all when I'm done, as long as this rain holds off a little bit, although it's starting again. And then we'll go from there and see how it looks. I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering what's going to be going on with this car. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it at one point in the video. This I'm going to be giving to my sister for her first car. So she's already getting acquainted to it, obviously, with it being at the house. Right now, it's being used as a loaner car, so to speak, while I'm doing the timing belt and some other service on my mom's Eclipse. I don't know if you've ever seen that in a video. I don't think I've ever shown it in a video, but yeah, 2011 Eclipse, doing a timing belt on it. And my mom's been driving this while I'm working on her car. So that's why it's down here at my parents' house and not up at my house in Williamsport right now. But since I'm here this weekend, figured I'd mess with it, try to get this hood looking better, because I got some extra time. Alright, so, to be honest, the 600 grit did not even do anything for this. The deep stuff like this, which I wasn't expecting it to. And honestly, most of it, apart from like here, this is the only spot I could get really smooth, was here. The rest of it, excuse me, was just too far gone. But after the wax, it did clean up nicely. It looks a lot more like the color now. It's got some shine to it. It's dull. It's not... I really wouldn't even be surprised if they didn't put clear coat on when they painted this. That's honestly what it looks like here. It looks like they put a base coat on and let it sit out in the rain, and that base coat washed off in some spots. In other spots, it just bubbled up. Alright, so it's been a while since we've shown the Corolla and really worked on it here, but it is officially done, fully detailed. And if you just watched my video, I probably posted about a week ago from now when you're seeing this video, we just finished a road trip to Florida and back, over almost a 3,000 mile road trip on this car. So this thing is ready to go to my sister. It's officially done. Everything's been done to it. It's been detailed. It looks great inside and out, and it's ready for cold AC, hot heat. Everything is ready for a new driver. Put those floor mats in it just because we got to drive it back today, and I don't want any marks and stuff to get in there on the carpets that are freshly cleaned. It even smells good in here. Like it is ready. Headliner's great. This car is ready to go, and I'm excited that it's finally done. If you guys enjoyed watching the progress on this car, make sure to leave a like, show your support, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.